Welcome to Dream Realm Stories, a sanctuary of sound and story where ancient paths guide your spirit into rest. Let your breath slow, your mind soften, and your dreams begin. You are Idris, an ancient soul walking slowly through the golden corridors of Aït Benhaddou. The late afternoon sun casts long shadows between the earthen walls built from the same red clay that has sheltered desert dwellers for over 1,000 years. Your weathered sandals, soft leather worn smooth by countless journeys, make the gentlest whisper against the packed earth. Each step, a meditation, each breath, a prayer carried on the warm desert wind. The walls around you rise like sleeping giants, their surfaces sculpted by generations of Berber hands. These walls, made of pisé, a mixture of clay and straw and water, have stood here since the 11th century, witnessing the passage of caravans, the changing of seasons, the eternal dance of day and night. You pause, placing your palm against the warm earth wall, feeling the pulse of centuries beneath your fingertips. The clay still holds the heat of the day, releasing it slowly, like a gentle embrace that will keep the village warm through the cool desert night. Your eyes, deep and knowing, scan the narrow passages between the ancient dwellings. These alleyways, barely wide enough for two people to pass, were designed to catch and channel the precious desert breezes, creating natural cooling systems that have kept families comfortable for generations. A soft rustle draws your attention upward. Date palm fronds sway gently above the rooftops, their feathery leaves creating patterns of light and shadow. These palms, Phoenix dactylifera, have been the lifeline of desert communities for over 4,000 years, providing dates for sustenance, leaves for basketry, and blessed shade from the relentless sun. You breathe deeply, inhaling the mingled scents of sun-warmed earth, wild rosemary growing between the stones, and the distant fragrance of tagine cooking somewhere in the maze of homes. The air carries the essence of harissa, that sacred blend of chilies and spices, and the earthy aroma of freshly ground argan oil. Your journey home takes you past the ancient granary, its thick walls designed to protect precious grain from both the desert heat and the occasional winter rains. The building, constructed using traditional Tadillac technique, gleams softly in the fading light. Its lime plaster surface polished smooth with river stones and treated with black soap made from olive oil. You breathe deeply, inhaling the mingled scents of sun-warmed earth, wild rosemary growing between the stones, and the distant fragrance of tagine cooking somewhere in the maze of homes. The air carries the essence of harissa, that sacred blend of chilies and spices, and the earthy aroma of freshly ground argan oil. Your journey home takes you past the ancient granary, its thick walls designed. You move slowly, deliberately, savoring each moment of this homeward pilgrimage. Your eyes notice the intricate geometric patterns carved into door frames, patterns that echo the infinite nature of the divine. Berber symbols that speak of water, fertility, protection, and the eternal journey of the soul. The sound of your footsteps mingles with the gentle cooing of doves, desert doves that nest in the crevices of the ancient walls. Their soft voices creating a lullaby that has serenaded this village for centuries. Their calls, like whispered prayers, rise and fall with the rhythm of your breath. As you turn a corner, you catch a glimpse of the distant Atlas Mountains, their peaks painted rose and gold by the setting sun. These mountains, guardians of the desert, have watched over countless generations of your people, their snow-capped summits providing the precious water that feeds the oases and sustains all life in this sacred land. You pass beneath an archway, its keystone carved with the hand of Fatima, a symbol of protection and blessing. The arch frames the sky like a window to the infinite, and you pause for a moment, offering a silent prayer of gratitude for the day's journey, for the herbs you've gathered, for the ancient wisdom that flows through your veins like the life-giving water of the desert springs. Your cloth bag, woven from wool dyed with saffron and madder root, rests gently against your hip, filled with the treasures of your day's wandering. Wild mint that grows near the hidden springs, dried rose petals from the Damascus roses that bloom in the oasis gardens, and small vials of pure spring water, each drop blessed by its passage through the sacred earth. The walls whisper stories as you pass, stories of the great caravans that once stopped here on their journey across the Sahara. Merchants from Timbuktu and Cairo, carrying salt and gold and ivory, resting in these same narrow streets, sharing tea and stories under the same eternal stars that will soon emerge in the darkening sky. You feel the rhythm of the desert in your bones, the slow, steady pulse that has guided your people for generations. It's a rhythm as old as the shifting sands, as constant as the cycle of moon and sun, as gentle as the breath that rises and falls in your chest. Your feet know this path by heart. Every stone, every turn, every gentle rise and fall of the ancient street. This is the path your grandfather walked, and his grandfather before him. A golden thread connecting you to all who have called this sacred place home. The air grows softer now, cooler, as the sun begins its descent toward the western horizon. Soon, the first stars will appear, and the night will wrap the village in its velvet embrace. But for now, you walk slowly, savoring the precious moments of twilight, when earth and sky merge in perfect harmony. You pause at a wooden door, its surface weathered smooth by centuries of desert winds. The door is painted with a soft blue pigment, made from ground lapis lazuli mixed with egg white and blessed water. This blue, the color of protection, of the infinite sky, of the tears of joy that fall when prayers are answered. Your hand reaches for the smooth metal knocker, shaped like a crescent moon. But before you enter your home, you turn once more to face the setting sun, offering a final blessing to the day, to the desert, to all the seen and unseen forces that have guided your steps and filled your heart with peace. The last rays of sunlight catch the edges of your white djellaba, the traditional robe that flows around your body like liquid moonlight. The fabric, woven from cotton, grown in the valleys below, moves gently in the evening breeze, a river of white against the golden walls. You close your eyes, feeling the warmth of the sun on your face, the solid earth beneath your feet, the eternal presence of the ancestors who walk beside you always. In this place where time moves like honey, slow and sweet and golden, the whispers in the sand grow softer now, like lullabies sung by the wind. Soon you will be home. Soon the rituals of evening will begin, and the great wheel of day and night will turn once more, carrying you deeper into the sacred mysteries of the desert. Your breath slows. Your heartbeat matches the ancient rhythm of the earth, and the golden light of Aït Benhaddou wraps around you like a blessing, preparing you for the gentle journey in. Your fingers trace the familiar grooves of the door, and with the softest pressure, it swings open on hinges oiled with argan essence, revealing the cool, shadowed interior of your sanctuary. But first, there is one more pilgrimage to make, one more sacred duty to fulfill before the sun completes its daily journey. You set your herb bag gently on the carved wooden table, its surface polished smooth by generations of use. The table, crafted from thuya wood, fills the room with its subtle, honey-sweet fragrance, a scent that calms the mind and prepares the soul for meditation. Through the small window, carved with the 8-pointed star of Venus, you see the palm grove beckoning. The trees stand like patient sentinels, their fronds whispering secrets to the evening breeze, calling you to complete the ancient ritual of water gathering, a practice as old as your lineage itself. You lift a small clay jar from the shelf, its surface decorated with spirals and crescents, symbols of the eternal cycle of water, from cloud to rain to river to sea to cloud again. This jar, shaped by your grandmother's hands 40 seasons ago, has made this journey countless times, carrying the blessed water that sanctifies your evening prayers. The path to the palm grove winds between terraced gardens, where mint and coriander grow in the shade of pomegranate trees. These gardens, fed by an ancient irrigation system called ketaras, demonstrate the ingenious wisdom of your ancestors, who learned to capture and channel the precious gift of underground springs. Your bare feet, now freed from sandals, feel the cool earth of the path. Earth that has been blessed by the footsteps of countless generations. Each grain of sand, each pebble, holds the memory of those who walked here before you, seeking the same sacred spring, carrying out the same timeless. The palm trees grow closer now, their massive trunks rising like pillars in a natural cathedral. Date palms, Phoenix dactylifera, have been cultivated here for over 2,000 years. Their roots reach deep into the earth, sometimes extending 40 feet below the surface, seeking the hidden streams that flow like veins through the desert's heart. You pause beneath the largest palm, its trunk scarred with the marks of harvest seasons, diagonal cuts in the bark. Where skilled climbers once tapped the trees for palm wine, a mildly fermented drink that was shared during celebrations and ceremonies. The scars have healed into beautiful patterns, like calligraphy written by time itself. The sound of water grows stronger, a gentle musical bubbling that speaks of underground springs and hidden aquifers. This sound, more precious than any music, has drawn desert dwellers for millennia, guiding them to life, to sustenance, to the sacred source that makes all existence possible in this land of sand and stone. You reach the spring, a small pool lined with smooth river stones, brought here by your great-grandfather from the bed of the seasonal river that flows during winter rains. The water bubbles up from deep beneath the earth, clear and cool and blessed by its long journey through layers of rock and sand and ancient clay. Kneeling beside the pool, you dip your fingers into the sacred water, feeling its coolness flow over your skin like liquid starlight. This water, filtered through countless layers of earth, purified by its passage through underground chambers, blessed by the prayers of all who have knelt here before you. The jar fills slowly, each drop a gift, each moment a meditation. You watch the water level rise, seeing your reflection waver and dance in the gentle movement of the spring. Your face, lined with years of desert sun and desert wisdom, gazes back at you from the surface, surrounded by the reflected palms and the first faint stars appearing in the darkening sky. Around the spring, wild herbs grow in the perpetual moisture, pennyroyal and spearmint, their leaves releasing their essence into the cooling air. These herbs, growing here without cultivation, are gifts from the earth itself, medicine for the body and perfume for the soul. You gather a few leaves, adding them to your collection, their oils blessing your fingers with their healing touch. A desert fox watches you from the shadows, its large ears alert, its golden coat blending perfectly with the sandy earth. These foxes, fennec foxes, have shared the oasis with human visitors for thousands of years, their presence a sign that the water runs pure and the earth remains in balance. The palm fronds rustle overhead, creating a natural roof that filters the last rays of sunlight into patterns of gold and green. This canopy, 30 feet above the ground, creates its own microclimate, cooler and more humid than the surrounding desert. A pocket of paradise preserved by the blessing of the underground spring. You rise slowly, the filled jar cradled in your hands like a newborn child. The water, slightly warm from the earth's embrace, sloshes gently against the clay walls, creating its own soft rhythm, a liquid lullaby that will accompany you home. Your journey back follows the same path, but everything has changed in the subtle shift from afternoon to evening. The shadows have lengthened, the air has cooled, the colors have deepened from gold to amber to the first hints of purple. The desert is putting on its evening robes, preparing for the sacred drama of sunset. You pause at a young palm tree, barely 10 feet tall. Its fronds, still soft and flexible, dance more freely in the breeze than their ancient parents. This tree, planted by your nephew 5 seasons ago, represents the continuing cycle of life and growth, the eternal renewal that makes the desert not a wasteland, but a living, breathing sanctuary. The scent of jasmine drifts from a hidden corner of the grove, where the night-blooming flowers are beginning to open their white petals to the cooling air. Jasmine, brought here centuries ago by traders from India, has naturalized in the oasis, its perfume a gift that marks the transition from day to night. Your feet know the path so well, they require no guidance from your eyes, allowing you to lift your gaze to the sky, where the first stars are beginning to appear. Polaris, the North Star, faithful guardian that has guided desert travelers for millennia. Venus, the evening star that heralds the coming night, and the bright ribbon of the Milky Way beginning to unfold across the darkening vault. A nightingale calls from deep within the palm grove, its voice liquid and pure. These birds, migrants from Europe, come to the oasis each year, following ancient flyways that connect the desert to distant forests. Their songs, learned in far northern lands, add their beauty to the evening chorus of the oasis. The jar in your hands has grown warm from your touch, the clay absorbing the heat of your palms. This clay, formed from the same earth that built the walls of your village, connects you to the land in the most intimate way. You are holding earth and water, the two elements that make all life possible, cradled in your hands like a prayer made manifest. Behind you, the palm grove settles into its evening rhythms. Bats begin to emerge from their roosts in the hollow trunks, their wings silent against the purple sky. These bats, fruit bats that feed on dates and figs, are partners in the ancient dance of pollination and seed dispersal, helping to maintain the delicate balance of the oasis ecosystem. Your home comes into view, its walls now glowing with a soft internal light. The thick earthen walls, heated by the day's sun, are beginning their slow release of warmth, creating the gentle heat that will keep you comfortable through the cool desert night. You approach your door, the jar of sacred water held carefully, this precious gift from the hidden springs. Soon, this water will bless your evening rituals, will cleanse your hands and feet, will steam with herbs to purify the air of your sanctuary. The Palm Grove path has completed its purpose, carrying you safely between the world of water and the world of earth, between the natural springs and your human dwelling, between the realm of growing things and the realm of contemplation. The desert has provided once again, as it has for countless generations, all that is needed for a life of simplicity and peace. Your breathing has slowed to match the rhythm of your walking, your heartbeat synchronized with the gentle sloshing of water in the clay jar. You are water and earth, breath and bone, carried forward by the ancient pathways that connect all things in the sacred web of desert life. The door awaits, and beyond it, the evening rituals that will complete this day's journey, from sunrise to starlight, from the gathering of herbs to the blessing of water, from the solitude of the desert to the sanctuary of home. Your threshold stone, worn smooth by countless crossings, welcomes your feet as you step into the cool embrace of your sanctuary. The contrast is immediate and profound. The thick earthen walls have absorbed the desert heat all day, and now they release it slowly, creating an atmosphere of gentle warmth that wraps around you like the embrace of an old friend. You set the precious jar of spring water on the carved cedar table, its surface inlaid with geometric patterns of ivory and ebony, handed down through 7 generations of desert healers. The table, like everything in your home, tells a story of continuity, of wisdom preserved and passed forward, of the eternal cycle of learning and teaching that defines the life of a sage. The room around you breathes with the accumulated wisdom of decades. Shelves line the walls, filled with clay jars and glass vials, each containing herbs and essences gathered from the far quarters of the Sahara. Labels written in Arabic script, flowing like water across small parchment tags, identify treasures gathered over a lifetime of wandering and learning. You light a single candle, its flame dancing to life with the touch of a burning twig pulled from the small fire that always glows in the corner hearth. This fire, fed with dried palm fronds and aromatic wood, has not died in 15 years. Its embers passed from day to day, season to season. A living symbol of continuity and the eternal light of knowledge. The candlelight transforms the room. Shadows dance on the whitewashed walls, creating an ever-changing gallery of form and movement. The flame, fed by beeswax gathered from hives hidden in the cliffs above the village, burns clean and bright, filling the air with the subtle, honey-sweet fragrance that speaks of summer flowers and the patient work of countless bees. Your fingers, knowing their work by heart, begin the evening ritual of preparation. From the largest jar on the highest shelf, you take a measure of dried mint, the leaves still holding their vibrant green color, still carrying the essence of cool spring water and morning sunshine. These leaves, dried in the gentle heat of the desert air, concentrate in flavor and healing power into every small fragment, into a marble mortar, carved from stone quarried in the high Atlas Mountains. You place the mint leaves, the mortar, shaped by skilled hands 2 centuries ago, bears the subtle marks of countless grinding sessions. Its surface, polished by use, gleams softly in the candlelight. The pestle, carved from the same marble, fits your palm perfectly, worn smooth by the hands of generations of healers. You begin to grind, slowly, meditatively. The mint releases its essence, filling the air with its cooling fragrance. Each circular motion of the pestle, performed with patience and reverence, breaks down the dried leaves, releasing oils that have been concentrated by the desert sun. The rhythm of grinding, steady and hypnotic, becomes a meditation, a prayer offered through the simple act of preparation. From another jar, you add dried rose petals gathered from the Damascus roses that bloom in the oasis. Their deep pink color, preserved by careful drying, adds beauty to the mixture. These roses, brought to North Africa by ancient traders, have naturalized in the desert gardens. Their essence a bridge between the earthly and the celestial, between the physical healing of herbs and the spiritual healing of beauty. The grinding continues, slow and deliberate. The mortar sings a soft, subtle psalm as pestle meets stone, a sound that has echoed in healing spaces for millennia. This sound, barely audible above the whisper of your breath, creates its own rhythm, its own meditative space, its own invitation to slow down, to be present, to honor the ancient wisdom contained in these simple plants. you add a pinch of dried lavender, gathered from the high slopes where the desert meets the mountains. Lavender, Lavandula stochus, with its distinctive butterfly-shaped flowers, grows wild in the rocky ground. Its essence, distilled by the hot desert air, carries the power to calm the mind and prepare the body for restful sleep. The mixture in the mortar takes on new depth, new complexity. The mint provides cooling. The rose offers heart-opening sweetness. The lavender brings deep relaxation. Together, they create a healing blend that addresses body, mind, and spirit. A formula that has evolved over generations of practice and observation. Your movements slow as the candlelight flickers, casting dancing shadows on your weathered hands. These hands, shaped by decades of this work, know exactly how fine to grind the herbs, how much pressure to apply, how long to continue the circular motion. The knowledge lives in your muscles, your bones, your very cells, passed down through direct transmission from teacher to student across countless generations. You pause in your grinding, closing your eyes to inhale the fragrant blend. The aroma rises like a prayer, like incense offered to the eternal. The healing properties of the herbs, their ability to soothe and restore, mingle with something deeper, something that transcends the merely physical. The herbs become carriers of intention, of love, of the ancient desire to heal and be healed. From a small clay pot, you pour a measure of the sacred spring water, still carrying the coolness of its underground journey. The water, blessed by its passage through layers of stone and sand, holds the memory of rain that fell on distant mountains, of snow that melted in the high peaks, of underground streams that wind their way through the darkness before emerging into the light of the oasis. The water meets the ground herbs with a soft hiss. Steam rises immediately, carrying the concentrated essences upward. The fragrance intensifies, becomes more complex, more alive. The herbs, which held their healing power in dormant form, awaken at the touch of water, releasing their gifts into the warm air of your sanctuary. You cover the mixture with a small cloth, woven from silk brought by caravan traders from the distant east. The cloth, dyed with saffron and turmeric, glows golden in the candlelight. Beneath it, the herbs steep, their essences slowly dissolving into the blessed water, creating a healing tea that will ease the transition from day to night, from activity to rest, from the world of doing to the world of being. While the tea steeps, you tend to the small fire, adding a few pieces of sandalwood, brought from India by traders who valued it more highly than gold. The wood, dense and aromatic, burns slowly, releasing its sacred fragrance into the room. Sandalwood, used in temples and meditation spaces across the world, carries the power to purify the atmosphere, to create a sacred space, to bridge the gap between earth and heaven. The firelight dances on the walls, creating shadows that seem to move with their own intelligence. In these shadows, you see the faces of your teachers, the elders who passed down the knowledge you now carry. their wisdom, preserved not in books, but in practice, not in words, but in the careful transmission of technique and understanding, lives on in your movements, your preparations, your deep reverence for the healing power of plants. You remember your grandfather, who first taught you to grind herbs by moonlight. His voice, that the grinding must be done with love, with presence, with the understanding that you are not merely crushing plants, but releasing their soul essence, their gift to humanity. The tea is ready now, its color a soft golden green, its fragrance a symphony of mint and rose and lavender. You strain it through fine linen, watching the clear liquid flow into a small glass cup, decorated with silver patterns that catch and reflect the candlelight. This cup, like everything in your sanctuary, is both functional and beautiful, both practical and sacred. You lift the warm cup to your lips, feeling the steam kiss your face, inhaling the complex fragrance that speaks of desert gardens and mountain slopes, of patient cultivation and careful preservation, of the ancient partnership between humans and plants that makes healing possible. The first sip, warm and soothing, carries the essence of the oasis into your body. The mint cools, the rose opens the lavender begins its gentle work of relaxation. Your shoulders, carrying the subtle tension of the day's journey, begin to soften, to release, to settle into the deep peace that marks the transition from day to night. The candlelight flickers and steadies, creating a circle of warmth and light in the growing darkness. Outside, the desert settles into its evening rhythms. But here, in your sanctuary, time moves differently, slower, more gently, more in harmony with the ancient rhythms of healing and rest. The fire whispers in the hearth. The tea warms your hands through the delicate glass, and the accumulated wisdom of generations fills the space around you like an invisible presence, blessing your simple preparations, sanctifying your evening ritual, preparing you for the deeper mysteries that await in the silence of the desert night. Your teacup, now empty but still warm, rests gently on the cedar table as you prepare for the evening's most sacred ritual. The call to ascend, to climb to your rooftop sanctuary, where earth meets sky, where the finite mingles with the infinite, grows stronger as the last light fades from the western horizon. You gather the tools of your evening practice, a small brass incense burner, green with the patina of age, its surface decorated with verses from the Quran in flowing Kufic script. This burner, crafted in Fez 3 centuries ago, has carried countless prayers upward on threads of fragrant smoke, connecting your intentions with the realm of spirit. Into a woven basket dyed with indigo from the leaves of wild plants that grow in the seasonal pools, you place small bundles of dried herbs, each bundle tied with thread spun from sheep that graze the high mountain pastures, contains its own healing properties, its own gift to offer the evening eye. Frankincense from Somalia, copal from distant forests, and wild thyme gathered from the rocky slopes above your village. The narrow stairs that lead to your rooftop, carved directly into the thick earthen wall, have been worn smooth by decades of nightly ascents. Each step, approximately 8 inches high and 12 inches deep, was designed to accommodate the flowing robes and careful pace of contemplative practice. The steps rise in a gentle spiral, following the ancient principle that sacred ascent should never be hurried. Your bare feet still carrying the coolness of the spring. As you climb, your breathing naturally deepens, synchronizing with the rhythm of ascent. This climbing, performed every evening for 30 years, has become a meditation in itself. Each step, a prayer, each breath, an offering, each upward movement, a symbolic journey from the earthbound concerns of daily life to the eternal perspective of the stars. The air grows fresher as you rise, cooler and more clear, scented with jasmine that climbs the outer walls. Night-blooming cereus preparing to open its single magnificent flower, and the clean emptiness of the desert wind that carries no human scent, no trace of the busy world beyond the oasis, only the pure essence of sand and stone and starlight. You emerge onto the flat rooftop, and the vastness of the desert note opens before you like a cosmic flower. The roof, constructed of earth and palm beams, according to techniques perfected over centuries, provides a stable platform 30 feet above the village streets. From here, you can see across the palm groves to the distant dunes, their ridges outlined in silver by the rising moon. Your rooftop sanctuary, carefully arranged over many years, reflects the same principles that guide your healing practice: simplicity, harmony, and deep respect for the natural world. A small raised platform, built from stones gathered in the riverbed during the last flood season, serves as your meditation seat. Its height, exactly 16 inches, allows for comfortable sitting while maintaining proper spinal alignment. You arrange the night's offerings with practiced precision. The brass incense burner placed at the eastern corner to catch the first light of dawn. The basket of herbs positioned within easy reach but outside the circle of your immediate meditation space. A small bowl of the sacred spring water, its surface reflecting the emerging stars like liquid S. The silence of the desert night settles around you like a living presence. This silence, deeper than mere absence of sound, carries its own quality, its own texture, its own teaching. It is the silence that exists between heartbeats, between thoughts, between the in-breath and the out-breath, the fertile emptiness from which all creation emerges. You light a small charcoal tablet, watching it glow red in the darkness. The charcoal, made from aromatic woods by following traditions passed down through generations of incense makers, begins to release its heat, preparing to receive the evening's offerings. The red glow, like a tiny star brought down to earth, creates its own circle of warmth and light. A pinch of frankincense, tiny golden tears gathered from boswellia trees in the mountains of Somalia, drops onto the glowing charcoal. Immediately, white smoke begins to rise, carrying with it the resinous fragrance that has been used in sacred ceremonies for over 5,000 years. This frankincense, traded along caravan routes that connected Africa with Arabia and beyond, carries the prayers of countless generations of seekers. The smoke rises straight up in the still air, a visible connection between earth and sky, between your small human intentions and the vast cosmos that surrounds you. You watch the smoke spiral upward, becoming fainter and fainter until it disappears into the star-filled darkness, carrying your gratitude, your prayers, your deep reverence for the mystery of existence. Above you, the stars emerge with startling clarity. The dry desert air, free from humidity and pollution, provides perfect conditions for celestial observation. Polaris, the North Star, holds its steady position while the great wheel of constellations slowly turns around it. These same stars, in these same patterns, guided your ancestors across trackless dunes, connected them to the eternal, reminded them of their place in the cosmic order. You recognize each constellation like old friends: Ursa Major, the Great Bear, wheeling slowly around the pole star; Cassiopeia, the Queen, with her distinctive W shape; Orion, the Hunter, rising in the east with his bright belt stars. Each constellation carrying its own stories, its own wisdom, its own invitation to remember that you are part of something infinitely larger than your individual life. The Milky Way, that great river of stars that flows across the entire sky, emerges as your eyes adjust to the darkness. Our galaxy, seen edge-on from our position within its spiral arms, appears as a luminous pathway stretching from horizon to horizon. Ancient Arabic astronomers called it the River of Heaven. And sitting here beneath its glowing arch, you understand why. You add a small amount of copal to the incense burner. This resin, gathered from trees in distant tropical forests, creates a different quality of smoke, sweeter, more complex. The Maya and Aztec peoples considered copal the blood of trees, the life force made visible. Its fragrance, both earthy and celestial, adds another layer to your evening offering. The shooting star traces its brief arc across the northern sky, a meteor no larger than a grain of sand, burning up in Earth's atmosphere 30 miles above your head. Yet its light, traveling at 186,000 miles per second, reaches your eyes with the same primordial message that has stirred human hearts for millennia. The reminder that we live in a dynamic, ever-changing cosmos filled with beauty and wonder. You settle into your meditation posture, spine straight but not rigid, hands resting gently on your knees, eyes soft and unfocused. This posture, refined through decades of practice, allows for the free flow of breath while maintaining the alertness necessary for deep observation. Your breathing deepens naturally, synchronized with the ancient rhythms of the cosmos. In-breath, drawing in the clear desert air. Out-breath, releasing into the vast emptiness that surrounds you. Each breath, a small tide, part of the larger ocean of breath that connects all living things. All breathing beings sharing the same atmosphere, the same life-giving air. The temperature continues to drop as the earth releases the day's accumulated heat. The thick walls of your home below, the thermal mass of stone and earth, slowly give up their warmth to the cooling air. This daily cycle, experienced by desert dwellers for millennia, creates its own rhythm, its own meditation on the eternal dance of heating and cooling, expansion and contraction. Day and night, a nighthawk calls from somewhere in. Its voice liquid and haunting, these birds, perfectly adapted to desert life, hunt insects in the cooling air. Their large eyes designed to gather the faintest starlight. Like you, they are creatures of the night, finding in darkness a richness and beauty invisible to the sun-blinded world. The incense continues to burn, its smoke creating subtle spirals in the still air. Each wisp, each curl, each upward flowing stream carries your intentions into the realm of spirit. In this ancient practice, repeated nightly for years, you find a way to make the invisible visible, to give form to prayer, to create a bridge between your small human concerns and the infinite mystery that surrounds you. You add wild thyme to the glowing charcoal. This herb, gathered from the rocky slopes where the desert meets the mountains, releases its pungent, medicinal fragrance. Thyme, used by ancient Egyptians and by Greeks as an offering to their gods, carries the power to purify and protect, to create sacred space, to invoke the presence of the eternal. The stars wheel slowly overhead, marking the passage of time in the ancient way. Before clocks, before artificial light, when humans lived in intimate relationship with the cosmic rhythms, you feel yourself becoming part of this larger movement, your small human life nested within the vast cycles of stellar motion, galactic rotation, cosmic evolution. A satellite passes overhead, moving steadily from west to east, a tiny point of reflected sunlight in the sea of stars. This modern addition to the night sky, carrying communications and data around the globe at 17,000 miles per hour, somehow does not disturb the ancient peace. Instead, it serves as a reminder of human ingenuity, of our species' ancient drive to reach beyond our earthbound limitations, to touch the realm of the stars. Your meditation deepens as the night settles around you. The boundary between inner and outer, between self and cosmos, begins to soften. In this state, experienced by contemplatives across all traditions, you taste the unity that underlies apparent separation, the connection that links all things in an intricate web of relationship and mutual dependence. The incense burns down to glowy embers, its work nearly complete. The fragrant smoke, now just a thin wisp rising into the star-filled darkness, carries with it your gratitude for this day, your appreciation for the simple gifts of water and herbs and starlight, your deep reverence for the mystery that allows consciousness to arise in a universe of matter and energy. Soon it will be time to descend, to return to the human scale of rooms and walls and soft beds. But for now, you rest in the embrace of infinity, surrounded by the patient presence of stars that have watched over countless generations of seekers, stars that will continue their ancient dance long after your small human story has ended. The night wind stirs, carrying the scent of cooling sand and distant mountains. Soon, the deep peace of desert sleep will claim you. But first, there are whispers to hear, voices from the past calling across the vast silence of the dunes. Ancestors whose wisdom lives on in the very air you breathe. The last threads of incense smoke dissolve into the star-filled darkness, leaving behind an atmosphere so pure, so crystalline, that it seems to vibrate with invisible presence. The air itself becomes a medium for communication, a bridge between the world of the living and the eternal realm where wisdom dwells. You close your eyes, not to shut out the night, but to open inner senses that perceive beyond the visible. In this deep stillness, cultivated through decades of nightly practice, you begin to hear what the desert has always known. The voices of those who walked these paths before you, whose feet wore smooth the stones you climb, whose hands shape the vessels you use, whose knowledge flows through your veins like hidden springs. Your great-grandfather's voice, as gentle as wind through palm fronds, whispers the first teaching. The desert speaks to those who know how to listen. Not with ears alone, but with the whole body, the whole soul. Listen with your bones, child. Listen with your breath. The memory emerges not as thought, but as living presence. You are 7 years old again, sitting beside the old healer as he demonstrates the art of reading sand patterns. His weathered finger traces lines in the fine earth, showing you how the wind writes messages, how the movement of insects tells stories, how every grain contains the history of mountains worn away by time and weather. See how the sand remembers? His voice continues, carried on the night breeze that stirs the edges of your white robe. Each grain has traveled from the peaks of the Atlas, carried by wind and water, ground fine by the endless patience of stone meeting stone. The desert is not empty, it is full of stories, full of the dreams of rocks learning to fly. Another presence joins the circle of memory. Your grandmother, whose hands moved like prayers as she wove healing into cloth. Her voice, melodious as a dove at dawn, carries the wisdom of plant allies. The herbs choose their healers, little one. You cannot force their medicine. You must court them, honor them, learn their songs. Each leaf is a prayer, each root a blessing, each flower a doorway to the garden of the soul. You feel her presence so strongly, as if she sits beside you on the rooftop. Her silver hair gleaming in the starlight, her knowledge of the healing arts, passed down through an unbroken lineage of wise women, flows through your hands as you remember her teaching. How to approach each plant with reverence, how to ask permission before gathering, how to give thanks for every gift received. The night wind shifts, carrying with it the scent of jasmine and the distant fragrance of rain on stone. And with this shift comes another voice. Your teacher's teacher, a man you never met in physical form, but who lives vividly in the stories passed down. His presence feels ancient, timeless, connected to the very bedrock of the desert. The stars are the first teachers, his voice echoes across the centuries. Before books, before words, the night sky was humanity's library. Each constellation a chapter, each planet a verse in the great poem of existence. Learn to read the stellar scripture. And you will never be lost, never be alone, never be without guidance on the path. You open your eyes to the wheeling constellations, seeing them now not just as patterns of light, but as the actual pages of an ancient text, written in a language older than human speech. The Big Dipper, pointing always toward the North Star, serves as a cosmic compass, while Orion's belt marks the celestial equator. Dividing the sky into the ancient territories of myth and meaning. A meteor streaks across the southern horizon, and in its brief, brilliant passage, you hear the voice of the first ancestor, the one whose story begins all the other stories, whose journey from distant lands brought your lineage to this sacred place. His voice, deep and resonant as wind in a canyon, speaks of the Great Migration, the search for water, the discovery of the spring that made settlement possible. We followed the stars across trackless dunes. He intones, guided by Polaris when the sandstorms blotted out the sun. We carried with us only what was essential: water skins and date pits, knowledge of herbs and the names of stars, seeds of wisdom to plant in whatever oasis would accept us. And the desert tested us, day by day, night by night, until we proved ourselves worthy of its secrets. The temperature drops another degree, and you pull your woolen cloak, woven from the fleece of mounting sheep. This cloak, dyed with madder root and indigo, carries in its fibers the concentrated essence of high altitude, where the sheep graze among herbs that grow nowhere else, plants that survive on rocky ledges where snow lingers into late spring. As warmth settles around you, another presence makes itself known. A woman's voice speaking in the ancient Berber tongue that predates Arabic in this land. Her words, though in a language few now remember, carry meaning that transcends specific syllables, meaning that resonates in the bones, in the blood, in the cellular memory that connects you to the first humans who called this desert home. She speaks of the time before the Great Drying, when this land was green, when rivers flowed year-round and forests covered what are now endless dunes. Her voice carries the memory of abundance, of a time when the relationship between human and nature was so intimate that survival and beauty were not separate concerns, but aspects of the same sacred dance. Remember the green time, her voice whispers. Hold its memory in your heart like a seed. The desert is not the absence of the garden. It is the garden in its winter form, sleeping, conserving, waiting for the rains that will awaken it once more. What appears empty is actually full of potential, full of dreams, full of the patience that only love can teach. A nightbird calls from the palm grove below, its voice a liquid trill that seems to respond to the ancestral whispers. These birds, migrants that follow ancient flyways, connecting Africa to Europe and beyond, carry their own inherited wisdom, their own genetic memory of routes traveled for thousands of generations. Their calls, pure and haunting, remind you that migration, movement, the search for seasonal abundance is written into the very DNA of life. The Milky Way reaches its zenith, that great river of stars stretching from the northern horizon to the southern edge of vision. In its luminous flow, you see the path that connects all the ancestors, the stellar highway along which their wisdom travels. From past to present to future, an endless circulation of knowledge and love and the deep commitment to life's continuation. Your breathing has synchronized completely with the rhythm of the night. Deep, slow inhalations that fill your lungs with the crystalline air of the high desert. Long, gentle exhalations that release into the vast emptiness that surrounds and supports all existence. Each breath, a conversation with the cosmos. Each moment of stillness, a prayer of pure presence. Another voice emerges from the silence, younger than the others, more recent. This is your uncle, who passed just 3 winters ago, whose death left you as the sole keeper of certain secrets, certain rituals, certain healing songs that must not be lost. His presence feels immediate, urgent, as if he has important information to impart before the night grows too deep for clear communication. The old ways are not museum pieces. His voice carries both gentleness and urgency. They are living streams, flowing waters that must keep moving to stay pure. Each ritual you perform, each herb you gather, each prayer you offer, keeps the stream flowing, prevents the stagnation that comes when knowledge becomes mere tradition instead of living practice. You feel the weight of this responsibility, not as burden, but as honor. The healing knowledge you carry, accumulated over generations of careful observation and respectful relationship with the plant world, must be shared, must be passed forward, must find new vessels to ensure its survival. The ancestors speak not just to comfort, but to remind you of your role in the great chain of transmission. A cool breeze stirs the air, carrying with it the scent of distant rain, somewhere beyond the horizon. Clouds are gathering over the mountains, preparing to bring the winter moisture that will awaken dormant seeds, fill the seasonal pools, restore the delicate balance between water and stone that makes life possible in this austere landscape. The voices of the ancestors begin to fade, not disappearing, but settling deeper, becoming part of the fabric of the night itself. Their wisdom, their love, their accumulated understanding of how to live in harmony with the desert's rhythms remains available, woven into the very air you breathe, waiting to emerge whenever you create the silence, the stillness, the sacred space that allows for deeper listening. You rise slowly from your meditation seat, feeling the night air cool against your skin. The stars continue their ancient dance overhead, indifferent to human concerns, yet somehow intimately connected to the deepest longings of the heart. The incense burner, now cold, holds only ash, but the atmosphere remains charged with the invisible presence of those who guide your path. It is time to descend, to return to the human scale of rooms and beds. But you carry with you the gifts of this evening's communion, the renewed sense of connection to the lineage that created you, the deepened understanding of your place in the great continuum of healing and wisdom-keeping, the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are never truly alone. The narrow stairs await, leading down from this cosmic perspective to the intimate sanctuary of your earthly home. Each step, a gentle return. Each downward movement, a conscious choice to bring the star wisdom into the realm of daily life. Behind you, the rooftop remains bathed in starlight, a platform suspended between earth and heaven, a place where the veil grows thin, where the voices of the ancestors can be heard by those who know how to listen. Tomorrow night, you will climb these stairs again, offer incense to the four directions again, open your heart to the wisdom that flows like an underground river through the generations. But now, sleep calls, the deep, restorative sleep that comes when the day's work is complete, when the evening rituals have been fulfilled, when the connection to the eternal has been renewed. Soon, you will rest in the embrace of the desert night, wrapped in the invisible presence of all who have walked this path before you, all who will follow after you, all who share in the great work of keeping wisdom alive in a world that too often forgets how to listen. Your feet find the familiar rhythm of descent. Each step down the narrow stairway, a gentle return from the cosmic perspective of the rooftop to the intimate embrace of your earthly sanctuary. The candlelit niches, still glowing softly in their whitewashed alcoves, guide your way like stars brought down to human scale. Each small flame, a reminder that the light above finds its reflection in the carefully tended flames below. The thick earthen walls, warmed by the day's sun and now releasing their heat in gentle waves, welcome you back with the subtle fragrance of clay and lime plaster. This fragrance, as familiar as your own breath, speaks of home, of sanctuary, of the human need for enclosed space where the soul can rest, where dreams can unfold without disturbance. Your main room, lit by the single beeswax candle and the soft glow from the corner hearth, seems smaller now, more intimate after the vast openness of the star-filled sky. But this intimacy is not a limitation. It is a gift. The gift of proportion, of spaces designed for human comfort, for the quiet rituals that prepare the body and mind for the deep healing of sleep. You move slowly, deliberately, savoring these final moments of conscious activity. Your movements, refined by years of evening practice, carry their own meditation. Each gesture a prayer, each step a communion with the accumulated wisdom of your lineage. The simple act of preparing for sleep becomes a sacred ritual, a conscious transition from the world of doing to the world of being. From a carved wooden chest, its surface decorated with silver inlays in patterns that echo the geometric designs found in Islamic art, you lift a folded bundle of soft wool. This blanket, woven by your sister from the fleece of sheep that graze the high mountain pastures, carries in its fibers the essence of altitude, of clean air and wild herbs, of the patient work of animals that transform grass into warmth. You unfold the blanket slowly, feeling its weight, its texture, its accumulated softness. Woven in the traditional style with natural wool dyed in subtle shades of saffron and madder root, it bears geometric patterns that represent water, mountains, the eternal cycle of seasons. These patterns, more than mere decoration, are prayers woven into functional form. intentions made manifest in thread and color. Your sleeping alcove, carved into the thick earthen wall like a cave within a cave, awaits with its platform of cedar boards covered with layers of woven mats. This sleeping space, designed according to principles refined over centuries of desert living, provides perfect insulation from temperature changes, protection from wind, and the psychological comfort of enclosure that allows for complete relaxation. You spread the woolen blanket over the woven mats, feeling its softness yield beneath your hands. The blanket, warmed by the residual heat from the earthen walls, seems to breathe with its own life. Each thread, spun by hand on a wooden spindle, twisted into yarn during the long winter evenings when families gathered around small fires to share stories and continue the endless work of creating clothing and bedding. A small pillow stuffed with dried lavender and mint gathered from your own garden provides the perfect support for your head. The herbs, carefully dried to preserve their essence, release their subtle fragrance as you arrange the pillow. Lavender, with its power to calm the nervous system and invite restful sleep. Mint, with its cooling properties that soothe the mind. Together, creating an aromatherapy that works below the threshold of conscious awareness. You settle onto the soft bed, feeling your body sink slightly into the yielding surface. The cedar boards beneath, chosen for their natural resistance to insects and their subtle fragrance, provide firm support while allowing for the slight flexibility that prevents pressure points. This bed, like everything in your home, represents the accumulated wisdom of generations who understood that true comfort comes not from luxury, but from intelligent design in harmony with natural materials. Your white cotton robe, woven from plants grown in the river valleys, loosens around your body as you recline. The fabric, soft from countless washings in spring water and gentle soap made from olive oil and ash, moves with your breathing, never binding or restricting the natural expansion and contraction of your rib cage. Each breath, deep and slow, begins the process of transitioning from waking consciousness to the deeper rhythms of sleep. Through the small window, barely large enough to frame a single star, you catch a glimpse of the night sky. Polaris, the North Star, steady and unchanging, maintains its position while the great wheel of constellations continues its slow rotation. This star, beacon for countless generations of desert travelers, seems to shine directly into your sleeping alcove, a cosmic nightlight that connects your small human rest to the vast movements of the galaxy. The candle flame, burning lower now, creates dancing shadows on the opposite wall. These shadows, ever-changing yet somehow constant, become a focal point for your meditation. Watching without analysis, observing without judgment, allowing the mind to settle into the peaceful neutrality that precedes sleep. The flame, fed by beeswax that carries the concentrated essence of summer flowers, burns clean and bright, filling the room with its gentle honey fragrance. Your breathing deepens naturally, following the ancient pattern that prepares the body for rest. Long, slow inhalations that fill the lungs completely. Gentle, extended exhalations that release not just air, but tension, worry, the accumulated stress of conscious activity. Each breath, a small death and rebirth, a practice session for the larger transitions that mark human existence. The temperature in your alcove, moderated by the thermal mass of the earthen walls, remains perfectly comfortable, neither too warm nor too cool. This natural climate control, achieved without any mechanical systems, represents thousands of years of architectural wisdom, knowledge of how to work with the desert's extreme temperature variations to create spaces of consistent comfort. A nightbird calls softly from the palm grove, its voice a liquid trill that seems to respond to some inaudible conversation. These birds, perfectly adapted to desert life, find in the darkness opportunities invisible to day-dwelling creatures. Their calls, pure and haunting, become part of the night's symphony, a lullaby that has soothed desert dwellers for millennia. You pull the woolen blanket up to your chin, feeling its warmth envelop your body like an embrace. The wool, with its natural ability to regulate temperature and wick moisture, creates a microclimate of perfect comfort. The blanket's weight, substantial but not heavy, provides the gentle pressure that signals safety to the nervous system. The deep brain, their accumulated wisdom, surrounding you like an invisible blanket woven from starlight and love. The small fire in the corner hearth, fed with aromatic woods and dried palm fronds, settles into glowing embers. Its light, warm and red, creates a sense of contained energy, of patient combustion that will continue through the night. This fire, never allowed to die completely, represents continuity. The eternal flame of consciousness that persists through all changes, all transitions, all the small deaths and rebirths that mark the rhythm of days and nights. Your body, supported by cedar and wool and the accumulated care of generations of craftspeople, begins its nightly journey into rest. Muscles, carrying the day's activities in their fibers, start to release, to let go, to surrender to the healing power of horizontal repose. This surrender, practiced nightly for decades, has become as natural as breathing, as automatic as the beating of you. The fragrance of the herbs in your pillow, released by the warmth of your head, creates its own aromatherapy session. Lavender, working directly on the limbic system to promote relaxation. Mint, cooling any residual mental activity. Together, creating a botanical environment perfectly designed to ease the transition from consciousness to sleep, from awareness to dreams, from the individual self to the universal rest that connects all sleeping beings. Your breathing slows further, each inhalation lasting 8 counts, each exhalation extending to 12. This rhythm, discovered through years of meditation practice, signals to your nervous system that it is safe to relax completely, that vigilance can be released, that the protective mechanisms of consciousness can stand down for the night. Through your partially closed eyelids, you see the candle flame grow smaller, dimmer, as the wick burns down into the pool of liquid wax. Soon, the flame will extinguish itself, leaving only the glow from the hearth to illuminate your sanctuary. This daily cycle, from bright flame to glowing embers to the darkness that precedes dawn, mirrors the larger cycles of existence, the eternal rhythm of manifestation and dissolution, appearance and disappearance. A cool breeze, barely perceptible, stirs through the small window, carrying with it the scent of cooling sand, distant jasmine, and the clean emptiness of the desert night. This breeze, generated by the temperature differential between the cooling earth and the slightly warmer air, represents the desert's own breathing, the great inhalation and exhalation that moves across the dunes, stirring the sand into new patterns, redistributing the ancient grains in their eternal dance of form and dissolution. Your thoughts, which throughout the day have moved like quicksilver from observation to memory to planning, begin to slow, to separate, to dissolve into the deeper currents of pre-sleep consciousness. This mental settling, like sediment sinking to the bottom of a clear pool, allows for the emergence of other kinds of awareness. Dream consciousness, the symbolic language of the unconscious, the deep wisdom that speaks in images rather than words. The woolen blanket, warmed by your body heat, creates its own ecosystem of comfort. The natural oils in the wool. Lanolin from the sheep that provides waterproofing and softness work their own aromatherapy magic, evoking unconscious memories of safety, of maternal care, of the primal comfort that comes from being warm and protected in a dangerous world. Your heartbeat, which throughout the day has varied with activity and emotion, settles into its resting rhythm, slower, steadier, more connected to the deeper pulses that govern life. This cardiac rhythm, synchronized now with your breathing, creates its own internal music. A percussion section for the symphony of rest, the biorhythmic foundation upon which dreams will build their ephemeral architectures. The last of your conscious thoughts, like birds settling into their roosts, find their resting places in the deeper layers of mind. Today's experiences, processed and filed away, join the vast library of memory, becoming part of the accumulated wisdom that will inform tomorrow's choices, tonight's dreams. The endless conversation between consciousness and the unconscious that drives human growth and understanding. The candle flame flickers once, twice, and gutters out, leaving only the soft red glow from the corner hearth. This transition from flame to ember light, from bright illumination to subtle glow, marks the final passage from waking to sleeping, from the active day consciousness to the receptive night awareness that allows for healing, regeneration, the mysterious processes that restore both body and self. Your eyelids, heavy as lead, close completely now, sealing you into the private world of inner vision. Here, in the darkness behind your closed eyes, dreams are beginning to form. Images rising from the deep well of the unconscious, like night-blooming flowers opening to invisible starlight. These dreams, woven from the day's experiences and the eternal patterns that govern human psychology, will carry you through the night's journey. The nightly death and rebirth that allows consciousness to renew itself. The desert night, vast and silent around your small sanctuary, holds you in its patient embrace. Sand grains, cooling under the starlight, release their stored heat in tiny infrared whispers. The palm trees, their fronds moving gently in the night breeze, create their own soft percussion, a lullaby older than human civilization, older than language, older than any conscious art. Your body, supported by cedar and wool, warmed by earthen walls and woolen blankets, protected by traditions refined over centuries of desert living, settles into complete relaxation. Every muscle fiber, every tendon, every joint releases its hold on the day's activities, surrenders to the gravitational pull that draws all things toward rest, toward the earth, toward the deep peace that underlies all surface activity. Sleep approaches now like a gentle tide, washing over the shoreline of consciousness, carrying away the debris of worry and planning, leaving behind only the clean sand of pure awareness. This sleep, earned by a day of mindful activity, blessed by evening rituals, sanctified by communion with ancestors and stars, will be deep, restorative, healing. The woolen blanket rises and falls with your breathing, each movement smaller now, gentler, more like the breathing of the earth itself. The great, slow respiration of mountains and valleys, of oceans and continents, of the planet itself as it turns through space, carrying you, your village, your desert, your dreams through another night of the eternal journey around the sun. Your last conscious thought dissolves like salt in water, like incense smoke in starlight, like a prayer whispered into the infinite silence of the desert night. And in that dissolution, that final letting go, you discover the peace that has always been waiting, the rest that restores all things, the sleep that heals both body and soul. The night wind whispers through the palm fronds, the embers glow softly in the corner hearth, and somewhere in the vast silence of the Sahara, under the patient gaze of ancient stars, wrapped in the accumulated love of countless generations, you drift deeper and deeper into the healing darkness, into the dreams that restore, the rest that renews, the sleep that connects you to all sleeping beings, all the way back to the first human who ever closed their eyes under the desert stars, and forward to the last, who someday will find the same peace, the same rest, the same deep healing that comes when we finally, completely let go and sleep beneath the dunes, beneath the stars, beneath the infinite tenderness of a universe that holds all things in its vast, patient, loving embrace. Sleep and dream and rest in perfect peace. You've been listening to Dreamleam Stories. Rest now.